Hi everyone and welcome back to my Typist playlist. In today's video, I'm very excited to talk about how to write a CV using Typist. I'm really excited about this topic because I think Typist really excels in writing professional-looking CVs with almost no effort. We're going to see how to recreate my CV, which I previously wrote using LaTeX, but with the simple syntax of Typist. It's going to be a breeze, and I'm going to show you also how to edit the template based on your needs. So let's get started. The one that you can see on my screen is going to be the CV that we're going to be creating together during this tutorial. As you can see, I think this CV looks great. It has my work experience, it also showing me my education, scientific output with a simple image, but also very effective in conveying the key information, my top publication, the findings that I received, the open source tool that I developed, my professional affiliation, teaching experience. I'm also showing the conferences and oral presentation that I've attended and the awards that I've received. And finally, I'm showing the skills that I have. As you can see, this template and this layout is very similar to my previously written CV in LaTeX. However, if you've already seen my previous video on LaTeX on how to create a professional looking CV, you may have seen that using the LaTeX template is much more cumbersome and much more difficult to understand if you get a compilation error. With Typist, all these issues are gone. So this is my old CV, as you can see is exactly the same with an image, professional experiences and awards and skill. In fact, the CV written with Typist is even shorter because this is 4 pages long, but if I go back to this one, it's still 4 pages long, but I still have this empty space here at the bottom. One other very cool thing that I can show you, which I'm going to show you exactly how to do it, so we're going to see this in the second part of the video, is how to edit the default template to make it suit your needs. For instance, in my case, I wanted to have these nice looking icons here at the top that people can click. So if you click on my LinkedIn, you can click here and you're going to be redirected to LinkedIn. So I'm going to show you how to do that because in the original template, you can only add the URL. But I didn't like that. I like it to have it much more concise and I like to have just a simple icon that people can click. So without wasting other time, let's get started and let me show you how easy it is to write this CV. So here I'm going to show you how to create this CV online using the Typist online tool. However, you can also follow along if you're compiling your document locally. So the first thing that we are going to do is to create a project called YouTube-CV. After you create the project, you should be shown like an empty page. But here at the bottom, you should have this logo which says Typist Universe, so we can click on that. Here in the search bar, we can search for basic resume. Of course, you don't have to use this resume or CV, but you can also search for their templates and you will see that there are many other templates. I just like that one and I wanted to keep it consistent with my old CV, the template that I was using, and also I want to show you a comparison side by side with LaTeX. So let's pick the basic one because I think it is able to pack a lot of information, but also it is very nice. So here you can see an example of the resume that you are going to be creating, and you can also see the limitation of the basic template, at least in my opinion. That you have the email, the GitHub, LinkedIn written like this. However, if you're like me and you want to have a lot of URL or links, then this will overflow and it's not going to look nice. So we're going to change that. So here you can just basically import this or either create a project in app, you can click on that, or I usually just go here at the bottom and get the quick start code. So we just have to simply copy that quick start code into our project in Typist, and then here we have our CV. The important part here is that we are importing the basic resume and we're importing everything, all the function from that basic resume. Here you will have to change all your variables. So here there are the values of the authors of this resume, but of course you will have to change with yours. If you go back to the basic resume template, you can search here in where to report issues. So you can go here on the right side and you can find GitHub. And if you click over there, there is information about the template, but you can also go in SRC here and you can find this file here, resume.typist, TYP. I'm showing you this because here we can see all the informations that we can pass inside the resume function. For instance, in the example here, there is not shown that we can also add the ORC ID. So here, if I go back to GitHub, we can see that we can pass all this information, phone, personal site. So we can copy all these options here from pronouns to ORCID. And here we can just go location. Actually, we want to keep location. So let me see. And then we have phone and personal site. So actually we have duplicated information. So the location. So let's delete it. And you can see that we're not getting any errors. So here, let's change my name and let's put Federico. And then I'm not going to change the other fields because those are basically self-explanatory. So location, we're going to say location. And then email, we are going to just pass the email. And then GitHub. And then we are going to put the LinkedIn account. So I've added my ORC ID because I want to show you that what I don't like here is that this text goes in a new line. And for instance, if you want to add your phone, so let me just add some random numbers, you can see that all this text is overflowing. And this location is actually very short. So if you have a longer address, this is going to be a problem. So later on in the video, after I show you the syntax and how to change the content, I'm going to show you how you can modify the original template to customize it and to add icons and how to modify as I showed you previously. So let's see here how we can provide and add informations. The basic resume comes with this function and it has a lot of functionality inbuilt, so education, work, project and extracurricular activity. So these are very handy because, for instance, for the education, we need to specify the institution, the location, dates, and degree, and a couple of key points that we did during that specific degree or in that work experience. This is very handy because the template is super simple to use and to edit. So here, let me add some of my personal information. So under work experience here, we can actually start adding and filling in all the information. So you can see that I'm a senior lecturer at the University of Sydney. I am a voting member of the Usher 55, and I'm an honorary fellow at the Faculty of Engineering at the University of Wollongong. And these are all my present roles, but then I can keep adding information about my past. One thing that I also want to show you is that if you're like me, and you have already written your CV in LaTeX and you don't want to waste time to rewrite all your CV, you can basically use like ChatGPT or Claude. You can paste, as I did, all my previous CV in LaTeX and ask the tool basically to convert it, and then you have to basically specify which template you want to use and you have to provide also some instructions. And I have to say that Claude did an amazing job because it converted perfectly my CV. So here you can see that it was almost perfect. The only thing that was not really useful are these custom function and this tool function here. So I just ignore them. So we can copy here the text that Claude has generated for us, and we can go back here to the template and we can just basically paste everything. What you may get errors is that if you have $sign inside your resume. But again, this is very easy to find errors in Typist because we get a very simple to find errors. So here I have a few of them. So all the dollar symbols, they have to be replaced. So this is another one that we have it in here. and then we have a final one, I think is in here, and then hopefully everything should be fine. And we have, sorry about that, we have last one that we need to fix. Now we can collapse this tab here and we can see our beautiful CV. Still, there is something here at the top that we would like to change. So I'm going to show you how to do that just right now. So here, if you want to do that, we need to find the original template that we are importing here at the top, so the basic resume, and we need to find the functions. You can go in repository here on the right, GitHub, and then we can go in src, and then here we have resume.typist. So let's go back to our document, and actually let's also remove this tool and publication because are really not needed. So here we go in the Explore files, and we are going to create another file called resume.typ. How you call this file here doesn't really matter, because we're going to be importing that into our document in a second. So here we have pasted everything that we got from basically GitHub, and we can go into main.typist here, and instead of importing the preview basic resume, so we're going to say import, and then we're going to say resume typist, and then semicolon, and then we're going to put star. So this is going to import everything. And if you're following along, you shouldn't get any errors. So see, my resume looks exactly the same. But what is the advantage? The advantage is that now we have full control on the template, because we can go back into the resume.typist here, and we can change how the document look like. In particular, what I want to change here is I want to change this function here. So this is the function that basically shows all this information here, which is the contact dash item. So instead of showing basically the prefix plus the value, here I just want to show basically the prefix, okay? And let me show you in a second what is the prefix is, because we can see that here we are getting a little bit of an error. And let me just explain that in a second. So here we can see that most of these information here below in the personal information, see, they don't have a prefix defined. Only the ORC ID has a prefix, but we haven't defined it yet in the main.typist because we lost it when we basically copy all the content from Claude. So let's go back to resume.typist. And again, here we are in line 83, personal information. And then here, for instance, in the email, we can say, for instance, prefix. And then we could say, potentially, we could say mail. Okay, so this is going to be now showing us a link. Why? Because here, the content that we are showing in our link, so this is going to be the link value. So the link is going to redirect us to the link type plus the value, but what we are showing as the link is just the prefix, okay? So here we can change them all, and then, for instance, we could have GitHub, and then this is going to quickly and easily showing that to our reader that this is the link of GitHub, and this should be working. See, if I click, then you're going to be redirected to my GitHub page. So we are almost there, we just need to change them all, and then the final touch that I want to show you is how to add the beautiful icons as I did in my resume. So let me go 1 second back to the main.typist file here, and here we are also going to add the ORC ID. So here we are going to be just pasting my value. So now we should be able to see that as soon as we properly paste it. So here we can see that is almost appearing here, but so it is basically redirecting me, but now it's not very nice because we have this orcid.org. And again, that is very easy to fix. We can go back to the resume.typist and we can just basically remove this one from the prefix. So now we just have the icon. So here you can see straight away how we are basically adding icons. So we can basically use the science icons, and we can import the ORCID ID icon. And maybe from that package, we can also basically import the GitHub. I follow another approach, and I went back to the Typist universe, and I went into here, Typist universe, and then I say font awesome icon. So here we can see that font awesome, we basically have all the icons. So you can download the fonts from the official website. So the first thing that we need to do is to download these OTF files. And here you can just follow the instructions. So you can go on font awesome. And then here you just have to download the one for the desktop. I've already downloaded them. So we can go back here. And if I get these OTF files, I can just grab them all and drop them into my files here. They should be uploaded in a second. So here we can see the OTFs, and then we can go back to the installation here, and we can import the preview of the font awesome. So here we go back, and we can go here. And then now, just to test that everything is working, we can basically go back to the documentation and copy just one simple icon. So let's add this chess queen. So here, where we have the prefix for the mail, why don't we just add that icon? So here in the prefix, we can just add that icon, but keep in mind that if you add it just like this, you're going to get an error, because we have to surround it with a square braces. And there you go. Now you have an icon that you can show for your email, and then we can add the icon of GitHub, the icon of LinkedIn. So let me just add them all. And there you have it. I've added them all. So now you can see that we have the font awesome envelope, you have the GitHub, we can see the LinkedIn one, and then we can see one for our user, even if you want to add our own website, and one for the ORCID ID. So here what is just missing is my basically personal website, which again we can add it with the personal site. So here we can go here, and we can add our personal site. So it's called personal, and then site. And then here we can add the link to our personal site. And here it is. So now I've added the link to my personal site, which shouldn't be like that, but should be with a semicolon. And now you have it. So here we can close the Explore file. We can see all my name, all basically my location, and all my very nice icons. And then you have my CV. One final thing that I want to show you, I want to go back to the resume.typist here, because what I like is to have it aligned left. So personal information, I like to have it left aligned, so you can see that they are all left aligned at the moment. And also another thing that I would like to add, because I think it's nice to have a date, here in .resume.typ, here we can see that there is a square bracket, but we can also add basically this one FR, which is basically, we have already seen it in the previous video, but this is how to add basically a space. And then here we are going to add date time, and then today, and then we are going to say display. And here we have also now added the date, which I think is a very nice touch to our CV. So here again, my name, you have basically address, date, and now we have all the other information. So before we conclude the video, I would like to take a second to remind you to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you find this video useful. And also, let's have a quick look now at all the comments that we use. So we use the work and we use the education that I've already touched on at the beginning of the video. But also we have basically a simple list with the top 10 papers. One thing that we have not added here is the figure. So here we can just grab and I can search for the figure. So this citation.png, and here you have it. So these are my citations, and I can go here into the files and then just basically copy this file here. So in here, actually Claude was great because we just have to uncomment this and we can just add the figure as long as the figure gets. So the figure was not uploaded, so let's grab it again, let's upload it in here, and now we say connection restored. Okay, so I just lost connection for a second, and now we also have the figures. So we have the top 10 paper, which is basically just a list. We have the funding, again a simple list, and then we have links to my tool, and then we have professional affiliations, teaching experience, which we are basically using the same template as work, because I mean no one is stopping us to use the same function. And then here we have invited oral presentation, again all list, and we have the awards where we are basically just getting the generic 2x2. Which is also specified in the documentation, where we can have like the award, who gave me the award, and then we can have the date when I received the award. Of course, you are not limited to having this blue color, but you can also change that. So here I'm going to try a different color. So if you want to pick a color that you like more, you can just go in a tool like colors, like here, and we can get these, let's say orange. We can just copy, then we can go back here and we can just paste it here. So this is how our CV now is going to look like. And of course, you can also change the font. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you have learned something useful today. If you did, please consider supporting this channel by just supporting me here on YouTube, or more information on how to support my channel down in the video description below. If you have any question, please write a comment and I will try my best to answer it as soon as possible. I think Typist really excels for this, and I hope you have learned something useful today. One final thing, I want to show you how you can actually download your document, because I forgot how to say that. So here at the top, we can go in quick export, and then here we have it. So this is our new and beautiful CV, and it's going to be very easy to update and maintain as you have new information to add. Thank you very much, and see you in the next video.